Welcome to Peoa. We're going to take a little stroll down memory lane and go through Peoa in Thane Stembridge's Model T Ford. Here we are approaching Peoa. On the right is Moroni Marchant's place, formerly High Jorgensen. It's like the Model T's there in front of the cemetery, moving up the road. On the right and left here was Stephen Walker's, and this was his home, and then he built a larger home, and that larger home was became a hotel, and it's on the same location as this house you see on the left. It's called the Peoa House. Come to the top of the hill on the left is the Peoa store, and the Peoa store was run for many years by Delbert Marchant. We see there Marchant's cash store, but it actually predated him, and there's Dell's wife, Velma, and Dell was the bishop here for over 20 years. This is Bishop Abe and the Relief Society ladies, and at the 100th anniversary of the founding of the Relief Society in 1942, they planted a small pine tree next to the church. And that tree's still there here in 2010. On the right is where the church used to be. It's now a park. This is the church built in 1903. It's under construction, and here it is again. And that building was torn down about 1954, and this one here was built. This building on the part on the left was called the Amusement Hall, and it was a separate building from the earlier church. But in 1954, when this church was built, then they tore down the old church and built onto the amusement hall. So built the church on to the amusement hall became the cultural hall. This is a little dance review of some girls from Peoa that they put on about the time that the 1954 chapel was completed. And this was done, a little dance review by Marlene Walker and Gloria Maxwell. They're on the top. The bishops of Peoa. The first bishop was Abraham Marchant, followed by his son-in-law Stephen Walker, Arthur Maxwell Jr., Abraham Marchant, who was bishop twice, James Maxwell, Hiram Jorgensen, and after High was Bishop Abe's second, then G. Reed, Harper Marchant, and Dell Marchant. Fred Marchant. Dell was bishop for 22 years. Jim Milner and Eldon Stembridge. John Fish, Don Wright, and Dale Fewling. Kent Levitt was the bishop, followed by Delray Hatch, Bradley Marchant, and Lloyd Marchant. Lloyd was the 8th Bishop Marchant of Peoa. And now Dennis Jorgensen is the current bishop. Here's the old Peoa school up on the hill. It was built across the road from where the church was, and on a rise in the mouth of Dry Holler. There's another picture of a paint job and the bell tower installed on this. We have some pictures, several pictures of school children in Peoa. In those days, this school had a lot of children, a lot of kids in Peoa, and they all went to school up here in this schoolhouse. Later, a new school was built down on the road, and that's still standing. We see it here on the right. And this was a 3-room schoolhouse, and it was here until the 1920s, when all the schools in Camas Valley were consolidated and the schools were moved to Camas. This is behind that school, and you notice the numbers on the children. On the back of this photograph, it says it has these children numbered. First is Carol Stevens, number 2 Arlo Maxwell, Van Walker, Dale Marchant, Fred Marchant, little girl number 6, we don't have her name, but the number 7 Jim Milner, Lula Marchant, Hazel Rasmussen, Marvel Jorgensen, Rama Marchant, and Adele Marchant. We don't know the names of the horses or the dogs, but they're all going to school. Again, a group of Peoa boys behind that school. This picture was taken next door to the school by the amusement hall. This was taken up in Camas after the consolidation, and this was 1947. So these were kids from all over Camas Valley. We see uh, Wendell Stembridge on the front row, second from the left, and his class of about the third grade. We're back in the Model T approaching Wooden Shoe Road, and we see from the air State Road 32 and Wooden Shoe and all the homes and farms around that. Another shot from the air of that area in the mouth of the holler. We're going to go up the holler here. On the left is the post office. This post office was run by the Isaacson family for many, many years. Inside the post office, the boxes and the window. This is Carl and Naoma Isaacson. On the left here we see Dale Williams' home, and Dale today is getting ready to celebrate his 90th birthday. That makes him the oldest man in Peoa. That'll be in a couple of weeks. We proceed on up the holler here. This is Orland Crandall's barns. You see them on the left on the video, and this is Orland's place from the air. Lori and Dale Levitt's home on the right. Mark Crandall on the right. And on the left is the entrance to the gravel pit that belongs to Orland Crandall, on a picture of the gravel pit from the air. Provide a lot of gravel for homes and roads in Summit County. We're headed up now, Donna March's home on the left, and going up the Dugway to up onto the bench. We're leaving the holler and getting out on the bench here. Dennis Marchant's home on the left, and Lonnie Marchant's home, and we see the new church off there in the distance, the Peoa Warden. The Relief Society presidents from Peoa begin with Rachel Miles as the first president, and Lydia Marchant, Lydia Walker, Annie Blazard, Wealthia Maxwell, Ella Marchant, Fanny Maxwell, Jane Walker, Afton Marchant, Vera Jensen, Thelma Maxwell, Mary Marchant, Helen Anderson, True Field, Ina Crandall, Irene Roof, Flora Marchant, Dorothy Marchant, my own Marchant, Margie Wright, Nita Stembridge, Elaine Marchant, Marla Harris, Ellen Thompson, Debbie Bingham, Barbara Marchant, and Michelle Haymore is our president, Relief Society president. Now we're going out Wooden Shoe here, crossing Fort Creek. This is a picture of Fred Marchant and his dad, Abraham Marchant, or Bishop Abe, with a sleigh load of hay going to feed some Marchant children. We got Lula and Fred and Glenn. And Fred's holding a little colt there, and Glenn's holding the mare. This is Fred and Ione's truck in the early days. From Bishop Abe's back door, we see a big snowstorm. Seems like the snows used to be bigger than they are today. On the left, Alonzo Marchant's home, and Bradley Marchant and his family live there now. This is Jay Marchant getting ready to go to the lakes. In about 1938, as the people from Peoa reservoired those lakes for irrigation water. On the left here we see the Lyon House, and this is Oscar Lyons who owned that. It's a previous cabin they lived in, and later more infamous as one of the Peoa saloons. This is a good picture of that Lyon House. For many years had no paint. That was a beautiful, beautiful home, still standing. Helen Anderson's place on the right, Ray Anderson's milk barn, Preston's milk barn, and Clyde Marchant's milk barn. So dairy used to be big in Peoa. Here's the West Hills, looking out across the pastures and meadows, and natural meadows of Peoa. see Richard and Elaine Jorgensen's place here coming up on the left. And on the right, we'll see down towards Thane Stembridge's and also the Peoa Arena, which originally was used as a ballpark. Don Wright's home. Some of these other people live in today, but we're going with what we know. And we'll go out Wooden Shoe now. There's Wendell Stembridge's place on the right, Nyla. Sheldon Carroll Weil's place on the left. Here's a picture of stacking hay. There's a crane derrick on the right, which is used to stack loose hay, and you see a big stack of loose hay there. And then to the left of that, there's a small stack of baled hay, and you see a hay elevator. There's Gordon Stembridge's barn, one of the most magnificent barns in the Camas Valley. Beautiful structure. This is inside of it. You notice the grandchildren's basketball standard in there. So this barn was used for many things. And there's Gord's home. On the left was Oscar Jensen's home. There's Eldon Stembridge's home there. This is the home on the right here. This little, they call it a cottage now. It's bigger than it ever was before it was a cottage. Originally, the Maxwell family lived there, and then the Walkers, and then the Neals. And here is a picture from the air of Farron and Jesse Stevens' home on one side of the road and their log barn on the right as we pass in the Model T between them going down Wooden Shoe and across Wooden Shoe Ditch. We see True Fields' home on the left, and that was also her father, George Roundy's home. And back up behind, we see a picture of some of the older buildings of the Roundy family, some homes and barns that are still there. Jody and Barbara Marchant's home's coming up on the left here as we approach First Stream. Weber River splits into two streams in this area, and so we're crossing First Stream now. On the right is Dennis Jorgensen's new home, and we're approaching now Second Stream, crossing over Second Stream right here. On the right, we see Rowdy and Jonelle Fitzgerald's home. And as the Model T moves along, here's Jay Marchant's barn and corrals. There's a picture of the barn, and we've got a picture of a couple of cowboys. This is Jay Marchant and his brother Moroni Marchant, a couple of cowboys pausing for lunch. Stacking hay loose, the way we used to do it. You use a derrick, and the derrick dumps the hay onto the stack, and the men move it around and tromp it into place. The hay is brought into the derrick by a bull rake or push rake operated by these two horses. And you can see the hay is brought up to the top of the stack with the derrick. This is Alonzo Marchant and his Pinot team raking hay. Well, that's about it. We see Rob Young Lane ahead and Hoyt's Peak. We turn off onto Democrat Alley after that little tour of Peoa. 150 years, and that's it.